See, we're learning our first day. Welcome, my beloved friends. I am so completely delighted to have you here. And most of all, I am completely delighted to welcome Reverend Dr. Lin Morel with us. I've had the pleasure of knowing her for a while now, a pleasure of working with her a bit and under a few different circumstances. And I am just in love with Dr. Lin. She has such joy and delight in her heart. She has such wisdom in her soul. And let me just tell you a little bit about her, because as I was reading her bio, I love reading bios because, I get to know people, but we learn so much from our bios. So, Dr. Lin was ordained in 1988 as a non-denominational minister. And I love that because I was ordained in 1986. So we're like 80s buddies, non-denominational minister buddies here. Over the years, she has grown in her divine walk as she has navigated loss, fear, grief, and uncertainty. Her faith carried her through traumas that might have broken others. Man, we have so much in common. Her husband, James Putney, was an oncology chaplain at UCLA Medical Center. Together, they lectured and taught at area churches for 8 years and were featured in several documentaries. Their ministry helped thousands of people realize that divine love is more powerful than fear, and that love is the answer to any question. And after his death, she continued their ministry as it transformed itself. So welcome, Reverend Dr. Lin. I am so happy to have you here with us today.
I'm grateful to be here. It's such a pleasure and a joy to see all these wonderful faces.
Don't we have amazing people here?
You
I'm so
do.
thrilled. I am so thrilled. So I asked you the question, what are you most passionate about now? And I loved your answer. Can you tell us about that now? Your passion.
I don't even remember what I wrote, Kimberly.
Oh, you said at this point in my life, I am passionate about sharing energetic transformation with
Oh,
those seeking to level up in their life and step into a life that is better than they can imagine. I love that.
it's so interesting you say that because that has been the core of my driving force for decades now. It's so ingrained, I don't even think about it as something separate from me. And I do. I'm passionate about not preaching to people, but being a role model for people, that no matter what happens, God's there, even if it seems like we've been abandoned. It's always the energy, the love is always available. And our challenge, my challenge, was to look for a higher perspective in the middle of grief and sorrow and loss, and just know that there was something even greater for me. So I looked at those losses as doorways that I could pass through. When I was in my early 30s, I was at a prayer group, and they were doing working with the Old Testament. And one of the questions was, if you could be any one of the prophets, who would you be? And I didn't even blink an eyelash. I just blurted out Solomon. But be careful what you ask for. Because I had plenty of opportunities to gain wisdom in my life, which I now treasure because I can support it with sharing maybe little vignettes of my life that will uplift them so that they can walk through their valley of the shadow. And I like to say that, in the Bible it says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. Well, if you think about that, a valley and a shadow is not real. So there's like a hidden meaning in that verse, which has sustained me. It's a valley of the shadow. And so a shadow is not real, but on this planet, it's very real. It's called negativity, despair, depression. And for me, the angels in my life have been both physical and non-physical. And that's really one of the things that has allowed me to continue to grow in the midst of challenges. They're always there. And I've got a million stories of way angels have saved my life, literally. And it's really exciting that you're bringing this to the world now. Something that, oh yeah, angels. And yet angels are with every one of us. They're here to guide us. They're here to support us. They have no form. They can be here to here in a second because there's no distance between where they are and where we are.
So can you tell us a little bit more? Your title, I loved your title, was Angels Among Us, Serendipity's Grace and Support. So let's come back to these angels among us, because you've mentioned the ones that are both visible and not visible. And can
Uh,
you tell us more about how our earth angels have been helpful, and how the divine angels have been helping you in your life?
the earth angels in my life have been, quote, random people that have come into my life in what seemed to be random circumstances. For example, when I was 15 years old, I started studying judo. My mom was committed in an insane asylum just down the road, and I would visit her, and then I'd stop by my judo teacher. He'd invite me into his porch with his 6 dogs. They would be in my lap, they'd lick, he'd listen. That was a human angel. He gave me something I didn't have from my dad, and he was there when I needed it. And I still think of fondly with Gene. His name was Gene Waddell, a vaudevillian who performed for the Queen. He taught judo. He adopted a son. He was just the epitome of a human being that cared a lot about people. And his um, so solidity, I guess is the word, his being there for me. Every time I visited my mom, I'd come in and I'd cry, he'd hand me a box of tissues, and then that gave me the strength to continue. When I ran away from home, there were unlikely angels. So I moved in what would become my future in-laws. And I lived in the servants' quarters. They had a rather large house. And it enabled me to work full time and continue to go to college full time. They, in their own way, were human angels. I could go on and on and on with the serendipities of people calling me and say X, Y, and Z. And, oh my goodness. And now for me, I have a very great attunement to people that are especially working with me. And I'll pick up the phone and I'll call them and say, hey, what's going on? Oh, you wouldn't believe it. I was thinking about you. Because, as human angels, we cannot literally become the angelic vibration here. It's different. But angels can take on human form, actual angels. So I've witnessed a few of them in my life, in terms of people who just said a sentence and it changed the trajectory of my life. Or the ones that ride with me when I used to travel a lot doing workshops all over the East Coast and Midwest. And, there were times when I'd be going to a certain place and I'd hear pull off now. Really? But I'm going to be late. Pull off now. So I pulled off now. There was a car dealership there. They found something wrong with my car. And to add the blessing upon the blessing is 2 exits down, there'd been a horrible car crash that I most likely would have been at. So that for me is an example of an angel in action. Can't see them, can't touch them, but my life is shifted and I've been lifted above things that, had I ignored them, would have probably not taken me to a good place.
Oh, yeah, I feel you. Yeah. You also said that Archangel Michael is your go-to guy, that he helps you
Oh,
with transformational healing.
he's
And
definitely my go-to guy. Jesus, God, Archangel Michael, we're like the trio.
mhm.
I don't know how to explain it because I have no words other than my daughter was named Michelle after the Archangel Michael. Um, I feel that presence. I feel like the angels have my back. I put a coat of armor around me because I'm out with people that are sometimes not in their right mind. They're in the midst of traumas. They can't think straight. The negativity comes in. Archangel Michael is my dragon slayer. If there's things that are not loving in people's field or in their thoughts, I'll just say, okay, we'd like the boss, the big boss. And then Archangel Michael will come in and the wisdom will drop in, and I can say something to someone that will shift everything. I don't take credit for that. I'm not smart enough to take credit for that. So every session I do with anybody, I'll say, are you okay with prayer? And I said, if you don't like the words, put it there yourself. And I make it fairly non-denominational. I'll ask for the highest vibration of light from the heart of heaven through all our levels of consciousness, the places in between that we don't know about, into our earthly bodies and into the earth. So heaven, human, and earth are connected in one accord. What's that? Loving. So that particular prayer seems to work for everybody, no matter what religion. It doesn't necessarily work for atheists, but even agnostics will respond. And the atheists, I've worked with a few, I have found them not willing to budge their position. So I bless them and let them go. Even though when they walk into my office, the second they walk through the door, God drops the answer in. I said, are you open to hear something from a spiritual perspective? No, absolutely not. There is no spirit. His father had gifted him a session with me. And I said, well, I'm going to give your dad his money back because I can't work with you. I can't help you. And it was such a simple answer. So that's how we as humans will get in our own way. We think we know something. As soon as I think I know something, I know nothing, which makes it really, really nice to ask angels for help and Christ for help. And I call it the boss for help. Archangel Michael is the one that I do believe has protected me numerous times. I'm thinking about really big angelic stuff. When I was living, I ran a spiritual retreat center in northern Pennsylvania for 8 years, and I was asked to give a speech in New Jersey. So I left, and this is a serendipity. This is God's grace and unseen angels. I stopped at the post office, and someone had sent me $100 as a thank you, because I de-ghosted their antique store. It's a funny thing to say. But I thought, wow, that's so sweet of her. And I stuck it in my wallet, and I didn't bring a lot of cash with me. Well, I hit black ice on the highway, and I spun off and I went into a ditch where I wasn't easily visible to other cars. So I being from New Jersey originally, I locked my door with the engine running. Not smart. I walked up, I waved, tried to wave people down. It's about 6 o'clock at night. It's getting dark, and nobody stopped. And I said, God, I need somebody to pick me up. And so this truck driver stopped. I'm not terribly worried about what people are going to do because I've been doing martial arts for 50 something years. So that was the least of my concern. He took me to a gas station. They came back to my car. They charged me $100 to get me out of the ditch. There was my $100 gift of the angels. So I continued to New Jersey, still black ice, still sleet, far enough that I couldn't turn back. And I'm in a 2-lane road, and it's crowned. So there's a top, and then it's not flat. So a 14-wheeler was coming at me as my car started to slide on the ice in front of the truck. And I knew that I needed help. And I said, God, get me out of here now. That truck missed me by about this far. He didn't stop. I was sitting there shaking. I got to the next highway. I parked under an overhead. A police officer stopped. He says, are you okay, ma'am? I said, yeah, an 18-wheeler, almost 14-wheeler, whatever it was, almost hit me. I drove to the event. I got there like 10:30 at night, and they were still waiting for me. So it ended up being a celebration of souls that had talked and shared, and they knew me. Some of them knew me, some knew of me. And it ended up better than I could imagine, because the angels are special. I think it was Archangel Michael got me out of that. And it was so close. Like, it didn't take my mirror off, but it just about grazed it. And I'm sitting there shaking like a leaf. So Archangel Michael is very physical, non-physical, but very real in our presence. And he's done that over and over again. So I would encourage all of us who wonder, are angels real? Yes. Are they corporeal? Do they have forms? Not usually. They can be here and here that fast, even faster. I was reading, some Thomas of Aquinas and Dionysius, and who else was I reading? I can't remember his name. Anyway, one of the saints. and they were talking about things, and what it was so intellectual. For me, my awareness of angels is visceral, not intellectual. So as we pay attention and ask for our angels, I do believe we all have at least one at birth. I know in my church when we got baptized, I had two assigned. I must have been extra grace needed. So that began to shape me, knowing that there were unseen forces that were closer than my breath, closer than my body, that were here forever and to look after me. Many, many times I've fallen asleep at the wheel because I used to drive hundreds of hours to go to meetings, and they'd always wake me up. So there's mundane ways and there's huge ways.
You said an affirmation for us a while back. I can't remember where it was, but I wrote it down on a sticky note and I have it on my desk here. And it's this: I give thanks for seen and unforeseen benefactors who support my work in the world.
That's been so true. And please, everybody take that saying. It brought me to places I never think I would go. I mean, it gave me the encouragement when this is back in the 80s, when I ran my retreat center. It's like, I was told inwardly, call, Bell Telephone. I didn't know anybody at Bell Telephone. I'm sitting at my kitchen table and I'm an introvert, which is really funny. And people would come to me by referral. So I said, okay, God, but you got to give me a name and a number because I don't know anybody at Bell Telephone. Within a half an hour, one of my clients called and said, Lynn, I've got a project for you. What's that? W.R. Grace is hiring a marketing person. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He needs you. Is her boss. He needs you. So I said, okay, God, I'm really sorry for doubting, but you got to give me the words. I don't know what to say to this guy. All I know is his name. So I put on my big girl panties. I had a cup of tea and I dialed his number. Out of my mouth comes, hi, what's his name? I already forgot his name. I'll just say, hi, Tom. It's Lin Morel. I hear you need a Band-Aid for your boo-boo. The guy cracked up laughing. I'm thinking, oh, Lord, what did you do now? He goes, is the news that bad on the street? I said, yeah. He goes, oh, dear. They were talking about laying off 60,000 people when Bell got divested. So my dance with him went on for about 6 months. So getting close to Christmas, I woke up in the morning and the Lord says, send him a copy of your book and your audio CD. I'm thinking nobody will ever, they'll never hire me, because one was called The Wind and it was a spiritual meditation. And the other one was my book called Heaven's Helpful Hints. There's God in your soup. This is pre-Chicken Soup for the Soul. And so he called me back a few days later after he got it. And he goes, can you send me 25 of each of those? I want to give it to Christmas presents to my staff. I'm going, wow, see what my mind was manufacturing that wasn't real. Thank God for angelic and willingness to do what I'm told to do. And so it ended up through many, many miracles. Like he'd miss me, I'd miss them. And I finally said, Lord, I want to meet somebody who knows, Gene, that was his name, who knows Gene, who can get me in to talk to him. So I'm coming back from California and I had this urge to upgrade to first class. And I'm sitting there and I have Indian powwow moccasins on and my feet are up a little bit. And this guy sits down. He says, oh, do you ski? I said, no, what makes you ask? Oh, your boots. I said, no, I go to Indian powwow sometimes and dance. So we started talking and he said, yeah, I work for Bell Telephone. I'm just coming back from Australia. I looked at him. I said, you know Gene Wiedemeyer, don't you? And he goes like this, until 3 weeks ago, he was my boss. And then I proceeded to do a session about his relationship with his son. He went in there Monday morning, gave my business card and said, you need to hire her. So I was hired and spoke. The day they told their 60 HR managers across the entire East Coast that they would all be laid off when this was done and only 4 would remain. Talk about a message. So I asked them all if they believed in God. And 59 of the 60 people put their hands up. I said, that's a really good thing because you're going to need some help. So I stayed with him through that next year. And I called back one day and we had a conversation. Here's angels in action. I said, Gene, you've been here a long time. If you could do anything, what would you do when you retire? I want to open a dude ranch out west in Wyoming. So when I called up and she said he doesn't work here anymore, I said, let me ask you, did he open a dude ranch in Wyoming? Yes, he did. He retired. So that's kind of an angelic theme because I didn't know what they needed. I asked for help. I need somebody that knows Gene. What's the likelihood of somebody sitting in first class next to me? It's impossible. And yet it's possible for every one of our listeners and viewers that heaven is here to support us in our earthly journey of awakening back to the fact that we are truly sons and daughters of God that loves us, and that angels are our helpers. In some ways, for those of us that are dense like me, sometimes I need to be hit over the head. And it's Archangel Michael or it's Gabriel. Usually it's Michael. Sometimes I'll hear the Lord and he'll say, what are you thinking? Oh, I'm sorry. So I have a very wonderful relationship with the angels, with Christ, with God. And that was largely forged through trauma. When you're at the bottom, where do you turn? I'd always loved God, but the only thing that got me up in the morning was knowing that this had a purpose. And so now I get to lecture all over the world, not only about angels, but about how we can learn and grow it closer in our walk with God. And sometimes a lot of times they do it for corporate America, where you'd never think they'd be open to anything. And yet the places I'm sent are like, I call them God house calls. I've not really ever advertised in my life. And I've been in this business since 84. So, and it's always been word of mouth. And that I believe is because of my reliance on angels, the Christ, God, friends, serendipities. So asking for seen and unseen benefactors to support your work in the world or my work, that came when I had been laid off after I just moved cross country to be a consultant for a tech company who hired me. I spoke a little too much truth to one of the new hires who was a higher up person. So he banned any of the people I was supposed to work with from working with me on pain of their being fired. So the president of that division called me in and said, I'm sorry, I don't want to lose my job because this guy was above him. So what we did was we went into the basement and I sat in their cars during the lunch break and I counseled them. So there's ways to get around things, but I was laid off. And the head of HR said, Lynn, I'm really, really sorry. I went in the day before. I said, are they going to lay me off? I feel the vibes. No, why would we do that? Well, I got laid off and I didn't have I didn't have unemployment because I've been self-employed for 20 years. That's when I wrote that phrase. And within a week, a client whose life I had saved and his girlfriend whose neck had been broken, and I flew in to work with her. They both appeared out of nowhere to see my new house. They took one look at me and said, what's the matter? I said, I can't get unemployment. I don't have any clients because I've been working with this company. He goes, oh, how much do you need? I said, well, I just bought a house in California. My nuts at least 5,000 to 8,000. And he goes, done. I said, what do you mean? So he sent me 60,000 a year. And she, who I didn't know was a millionaire, sent me 30,000. So they gave me outright $90,000 to build my life, to get my consulting practice off the ground. And I offered to pay them back. No, you're the closest person I know to God. This is our gift to you. So that's why I talk about benefactors, seen and unseen. They were human angels, and I had, the man had burned my retreat center down. So I guess he felt obliged to give me some money. I don't know. And I had helped her heal her broken neck very rapidly. So the unseen benefactors are always here. They're closer than our breath. They're in us, around us, above us, below us. All we have to do is say help. I'll say, God help. Like I had no voice this morning at all, and 102 fever yesterday.
Oh
I
dear.
wrote a goal. Dear God, thank you for giving me my voice. And then of course I needed my earbud because my microphone didn't work. So there's always things happening. But with angels at our side, there's always a way around, through, above, or below. And why not ask for their help? You know, and the Bible says you ask not, you receive not. I ask all the time, Lord God, I don't know what to do with this person. Can you help? And then the answer will drop right in. Or Archangel Michael, can you protect so and so? And
Lynn, can you guide us through an experience?
I would
A
love to.
transformation, like about a 15-minute transformative experience,
I
please.
would love
Through
to. Are
12
all of you
chakras.
good with this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Do I have permission
Yes.
to access your consciousness? I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to read anybody, just to see what the Lord has for you all. So here we go. Mother, Father, God, give her a breath and life. Ah, we come together now with gratitude for the gift of life, for the gift of angels. And we ask just now that wherever you are, if you could take yourself to your favorite place, maybe it's someplace outside, maybe it's a place in your home, maybe it's a vacation you took, but find a place where you feel an equanimity, where you feel comfortable. And we ask just now that you close your lower psychic centers. You don't even have to know what it means. Your etheric body, upper center, so that only that which is for your highest and best good be allowed into this meditation, into this process. So we ask just now that you find that place. And if it's right where you're seated, that's fine too. But imagine that in front of you appears a little building, like a glorified outhouse, but it isn't. It's an elevator, and it's a standalone little elevator, and you're so curious, and you know that you're safe. So you thought, wow, I wonder what this is. I wonder what benefactor is calling me. And so you press the button because there's only one, and the door opens, and you see there's 7 buttons, and you decide to go down to the lower floor. And as the doors close, everything turns red. You look at your hands, the walls, the buttons, red, red, red. And as the elevator goes to the next floor, everything turns orange, pumpkin orange, your hands, your clothing, the walls. It's quite an interesting experience. And next comes the most beautiful golden yellow. And you feel yourself brilliant, brilliant yellow, like a rising sun. And then the next one takes you to green. And that green is so green, it's almost as if you're smelling fresh cut grass. And the green gives way to the most glorious, deep shade of blue, of a lake with clouds overhead. And then you go to purple, and everything takes the hue of purple. Your hands are purple, the walls are purple. And then as you come to the next floor, the bottom floor, everything turns white, glorious white light. And the doors open, and step out knowing that you're safe and you're in a very wonderful sanctuary, and see who or what is there waiting to greet you. It may be your angel. It may be a relative, someone you love that's departed. It could be someone in your family here and now. It could be someone you've never seen before. But as you greet them, and it could be an animal, could be anything, just notice what you see as you step out of the elevator and into your own private garden. And just look around and know that you're safe, and see who or what is present. And if there's no one there immediately, look at your surroundings and trust, because if you ask, you will find and you will receive. You can ask for one of your angels, both living, deceased, physical, unphysical, and take a moment to say hello. And perhaps there's a bench there that you could sit and share about something that's been on your mind, something that may be weighing you down. You could be wanting to connect with someone you've lost touch with, or with yourself, or with your angels. And just sit there for a while, or stand there for a while, Maybe you take a walk, but allow yourself to be in that safe place where you're free to ask your inner wisdom, what is it that I've come here to learn about myself? What is it that I've come to hear or see or experience? And just spend a few moments there now on your own with whomever or whatever appears. And know that you have an opportunity to lay down a burden if you're like, or to bless a joy and ask it to come into greater fulfillment, to bring healing between you and another or between you and yourself. And feel the angels that surround you in that place, anxious to be there, to serve, to uplift. And feel the calm that's present in that place, that you might lay behind anything that no longer serves you, that you sacrifice it. As my 86-year-old mystic friend Sally says, lay your burdens at the foot of the cross and walk free. Or you can send them up, up and away back to the nothingness. But see if there's a message for you now as you prepare to thank whomever or whatever you've envisioned or come in contact with. And if there's any other question you have for them, feel free to ask it now. What might my next step be? How can I strengthen my connection to angels? How can I let go of something that's been bothering me? And feel the love of the Christ and your angels pour over you. To know that your questions have been answered, maybe not exactly now, but moving forward. And feel the loving in that place for you. Wear it as though you are wearing a cloak of loving when you begin your journey back up the elevator. And said goodbye to whoever, whatever that you've noticed, and walk back to the elevator. And you press the top button. And you wave goodbye to whomever you've met, maybe even yourself. And hit the top floor. And as the door closes, everything is bathed in white. And the next floor, purple. And you feel yourself consolidating that which you've experienced that may continue for hours or possibly days. And then blue, the deep blue of a body of water nurturing you, baptizing you in its loving embrace. And then we go to green, verdant green, green meadows, green smells, corn in the fields maturing, tomatoes growing. That smell is with you as you go from green now to yellow, and everything is sunshiny. And the brilliance of this golden yellow illuminates you and receives anything no longer needed from you to be taken and purified, to be returned to you as equal or greater loving and wisdom. And now you come to the orange floor. Halloween pumpkins, harvest. And you come to the red floor where you started. And all of that is being brought into your physical form through your cells, through your energy field. That whatever gifts you've been given are with you now as the door to this elevator opens and you step out. back into your reality, back into where you are. And just breathe in a little bit through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And inhale again. And exhale. And again, continuing to consolidate the vibrations. Breathe in through your nose. And as though you're trying to fog a mirror. And again. And just now we ask for a blessing and a clearing for all those that took the trip into their inner wisdom. We ask that anything of an unnecessary experience be lifted now. If there's any forgiveness to be done for yourself, you can say to yourself, I forgive myself for behaving as if whatever it is you thought you were behaving as, unloving, whatever, insecure, not good enough. Or you could forgive yourself for judging yourself as not enough. But in this time, just take a moment and know that you are embraced by the divine, the one that loves you, the one that breathes you, the one that supports you, the one that's created guardian angels for each and every being. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and bring with you what you've experienced and learned, and put a hand over your heart and a hand over your belly, and breathe in all of the energy of loving here for you now, here with the angels now, transforming and transmuting that which is no longer needed right now. And we offer that all to the heart of heaven for it to be returned as equal or greater energy. And anything of a more karmic or challenging path, we ask to be ordered so that the angels can assist us in clearing it with loving and gratitude, kindness, compassion. And for these blessings, we give our thanks. And I love the Hebrew, Baruch Bashem, which means God is one, and the blessings already are. And bless each and every one of us on this call. And so it is, amen.
Oh, Lynn, that was incredible. Thank you so much for that blessed gift.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Oh, wow, that was so powerful. I want to share a little bit about my experience. And Catherine, while I'm sharing, could you get our breakout rooms ready? Because we're going to have an opportunity to share with each other here. So probably 2 to 3 people each room. So, wow. So this morning, Lynn, for our rosary reading, our prayer that we did this morning, I'm also having trouble with my voice. And I fell a while back and hurt my neck. And so I was realizing during the rosary this morning that my voice and my neck are connected, that it's actually my throat chakra. And this is an opportunity for some very deep healing of really old stuff. And so in that garden, the the beloved came and said, all is well, be at peace. And so I know that I'm receiving that healing now for my throat chakra and my voice and my neck. And that expands out into the world because that brings me into alignment and balance and peace within myself. And as I come into alignment and balance and peace, the world can come with me. So the places in the world, the families who are suffering from a lack of alignment, who are in disharmony, who are struggling and suffering and in conflict, it gives them the opportunity to now come into alignment, into harmony and peace, and to come to peace with one another, with their worlds. Oh, thank you for that incredible blessing, Dr. Lin.
Thank you, Kimberly. I have goosebumps over my entire body. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. So, Catherine, do we have the breakout rooms ready?
One.
Well, okay. So while she's completing that setup, we're going to have about 6 minutes in the breakout rooms and 2 to 3 people. So let's have the person with the longest hair go first. And Um, and I want you to share about your experience with Lynn. What did you perceive? What was special to you? What happened? Did you have a healing like me? Did you feel a deeper peace? Lynn talked about her abilities to connect and perceive angels. How was it for you? Could you see that garden? Could you see the precious beings there with you? These are your angel superpowers. So please share with each other how you perceive angels. This is your angel mystic self. What did you feel? Your feelings, your knowing, your hearing, your vision. Those are your angel superpowers. That's your angel mystical abilities. So please share with each other. And then when we come back, we'll have a couple of people share. How are we doing there, Catherine?
Um,
One more. Okay. That's tricky
no,
setting up these. And this is our first time here together. So we're figuring it out. There we go.
And
Okay.
special blessings to you, Catherine. That's a
oh,
brave thing.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Whew. Okay.
thank you.
So
I'm
let's
sorry.
pause the recording. Yeah, we'll pause the recording.
Okay,
Just that
yes.
pause, not the stop, but the pause.
um, pause.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, welcome back, everyone. Wasn't that an extraordinary experience with Dr. Lin? Uh-oh, they went back into the breakout rooms.
Oh dear.
Do you want to send them
It
out?
says they'll close in 8 seconds.
Okay.
Close in 15 seconds.
Oh,
Okay.
mine says 4,
Okay,
3,
there we go.
2,
Here they
1.
come.
Yeah, I set it for
Uh,
15 seconds.
Here we
Let me
are. Oops, we got a little journey there.
see.
Oh, beautiful. Looks like we're all back now. Wasn't that an extraordinary experience with Dr. Lin? And how was that how was that sharing with your people, with your angels, your angel family in your breakout rooms? I would love to hear from one or two people about how this was. What did you experience with Dr. Lin's meditation? How were your angel family there? Who wants to share? And if you can hover your cursor over reactions or tap reactions on the bottom of your screen, it will bring up raise hands. And if you raise your hand, we can see you. So who wants to share? Raise your hand, please, to share. Let's see. So once again, you either hover your cursor or tap on reactions on the bottom of your screen and then click raise hand. Who wants to share? Oh, you're all so quiet and shy. Oh, Monica. Monica, okay, can you unmute yourself, Monica, and share with us how your experience was?
Yes, the fantastic thing is that, I mean, I'm really pleased for everyone who felt something or saw something or had all this magnificent, wonderful experience. I didn't see anything. I didn't feel anything. So, so I don't know. That's me. I don't know. It just,
if I can share, Monica, I don't usually see things either. I see blackness, but in the blackness, I have a knowing of seeing, but not with my eyes. That might help you a little bit. I spent years trying to see things, but my seeing is different than my eyes. I don't know if that helps or not. But as soon as I gave up worrying about why I couldn't see anything, then I began to experience things. So there's no wrong way to do this. You know, sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. But if you go something like, I'd really like to have a sense of what could have happened or what I would like to have happen. So that's one way that you can begin to develop an ability to quote, hear, but not hear with your ears, and see, but not see with your eyes, but know with your heart. So there's no wrong way to do it. So nobody here has ever done it wrong. Even if you got nothing, even if you feel miserable, you still got something, because God's doing a work in all of us right now.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Monica. And thank you, Dr.
yeah,
Lynn.
thank you.
Sharon has something. Sharon, do you want to unmute yourself and share with us what your experience was?
Dr. Lin, you are just absolutely amazing. I am a visual person and I feel. And I mean, your benefactor message was right on track for what I needed. I could feel it when we went through all the colors. I could see all the colors. I could feel all the colors. And I just came back just light, knowing everything's going to be okay. And again, I'm a visual, very visual person. My first love, and I still do it, is doing hair. So I have to, I'm very visible and I feel stuff. I'm a school counselor, so I can feel when students are talking to me the things that they need. So I could feel and I could see, and it was just absolutely beautiful. And thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome. And frequently it's normal to have tears if you touch something that's visceral, even if you don't know what it is, it's okay. Because we don't have to know everything, God's in charge. And it may take a day or a week or even a month sometimes. And then you wake up and you go, oh, I should have had a V8. And then I make a joke about it because, wow, I'm a little dense sometimes. And so like I say, there's no wrong way to do it. Even if it seems like you've got nothing, you've put your intention and your energy there, and God meets us right where we're at. So do the angels.
I love your sense of humor. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. I appreciate your sharing.
Thank you.
And Lydia, where did Lydia go? Come on back, Lydia. We want to hear from you.
There you are.
Hi, Monica. I just wanted to thank you so much for sharing that and saying that, because I was the same way. I'm not necessarily seeing anything, and I guess my question was, which it's already answered, is there just a knowing? Like I could see the colors at the end when we were coming back to the chakras and their opening, and I'm very brand new to all of this, so. I just wanted to just thank Monica for saying something about that, because I experienced that also, and I really, really appreciate that. So that's all.
Oh, thank you, Lydia. Yeah, thank you, Monica. It takes courage to admit, I don't see anything. Ellis, hello, Ellis. Welcome. Unmute yourself, please, Ellis. I noticed yesterday, Alice, that you didn't have a microphone. Let me look at your account here and see. Do you know how to connect a microphone? Okay, we're not hearing you. So, Ellis, if you hang out at the end, we'll help you to fix your sound. But for now, if you could tell us through the chat, we'd love to hear through the chat. That would be good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ellis. Yeah. I see you. I see everybody. I pay attention. You're all so very precious to me. So please stay with us, Ellis, and we'll get your sound fixed. So Dr. Lin has some gifts for us. She has one called a grounding meditation. Can you tell us the story about the wind, Dr. Lin?
Oh, the wind is actually the first one I did. I went to visit my brother, and he asked if I would do a meditation for him. He's a pianist. He's 83 or 4 now. And he had a breezeway with his piano. And I sat and I did the meditation. He got up and played the music. And together we turned it into my first meditation tape called The Wind. The music is his original. It's about 25 minutes long. You can play it in bed. Hopefully it'll put you to sleep, but it allows you to blow through any challenges that might be occurring in a way that you can get a higher vision. And it's just a gift of love that I still have. And so that's the one that I put out on my website. So, and feel free to play it. I played it for myself quite a lot when I was having some challenges. It's pretty funny. And my voice is a lot different, and I'm a lot younger back then too.
I love hearing that, because I often listen to my own meditations. There was a gift I gave for this Angel Healer Summit, which was a message I received from Archangel Raphael about healing, where he took me to the healing clinic one day. And I've probably listened to that 100 times because it's so incredible to hear the message in my own voice and to take that journey again and again. And each time I discover something new, I feel something new. Oh, yeah. So I'm with you on that. So, Dr. Lin, when they sign up to get that free grounding meditation, what else do they get from you?
Well, they get my site. I've got tons and tons of free podcasts, and I've been on a fair number of trauma series. There's all sorts of things you can listen to if you're having a bad day, a good day, from a wide range of people that have interviewed me. And it's my absolute delight to share that with everybody. I do have a couple of books that I've written, well, actually 8 or 9, but we won't go there. My favorite one is called Beyond Lovelyville. It's a parable of rising above challenges and gaining awareness. My last one is called The Grace of Love. It's the 8 years of love emails between my husband and I, the chaplain at UCLA, before he passed away. And it's a primer for how to have a good relationship when both partners come out of trauma, and how our commitment was to learn and grow. And if we ever had an argument, we would be more loving on the other side than before. And it was an extraordinary relationship with James. And I went into that being told that he would die at about the 5-year mark. And I decided he was such an extraordinary being that I would rather be married for 5 years than not be involved with him. So he's my angel in heaven right now. And speaking of angels, on his deathbed, he made me promise I would get married again. And I said, no way. Why would I do that? I'm perfectly fine by myself. Now, he was husband number 3, understand. 2 died and 1 was abusive. So I said, okay, you meet him, you vet him, you send him, and I'll decide. So in the space of 6 months, this is angels in action. I'm down at an evolutionary business council in Florida. And my friend Anita Sanchez says, Lynn, James just walked through the door. Really? It's the 2nd time, because about 2 months earlier, a Qigong master was visiting me. And she goes, your dead husband in kitchen. She didn't even know his name because, I'd been widowed already. I said, oh, he hasn't talked to me in 11 and a half years. What's he want to say? He says he vetting man. 2 months later, there's Anita saying James is visiting. Then we go fast forward 4 months. My dear, dear friend Cheryl, who's an angel extraordinaire, called me and said, Lynn, honey, James is here with me today. He's so tall, I can't see his head in the clouds. I said, oh my gosh, Cheryl, it's a trifecta. What's he want to say? He says he's met a man and vetted and decide. And it's a yes. All you need to do is decide. Well, unbeknownst to me, Cheryl passed away within a month. And 7 people in couples from all over the United States said, you need to go east. Paul won't make it. He needs help. Now, we'd been close friends for 25 or 6 years, and Cheryl too. The 3 of us were like a little gang. And so she passed away. I flew east. I said, if I get a free or cheap ticket, I'll come. Because at the time I was paying off a $25,000 loan that I wanted to do in 6 months. And it was $2,000 for a ticket. But I called Mary, his assistant. I said, Mary, he stopped calling me. Is he okay? Lynn, you got to come. He's not good. I said, all right, Mary, if I get a cheaper free ticket, I'll come. Right then and there, I went on American Airlines. It was a $90 one-way ticket. 2 days later, it was in the news. There was a glitch in their computer system, and they honored all the $90 tickets. So I came here. We walked out of his office, and there was a rainbow. It was like it was in a bubble because it was different. The energy underneath it was different than on top. And I pretty much nurtured him back to health, got him through the celebration of life. He was in what we call a classic widow maker position, which was like this, which means a heart attack is pretty imminent. So I sort of nurtured him back to health. And he goes, can you say for Thanksgiving? Yeah, I guess so. I was supposed to fly to Florida for Thanksgiving, but my client's in-laws were coming. So we postponed it. So he and I cooked Thanksgiving here for his son. And it was just remarkable. And then Christmas came. Could you stay for Christmas? And then New Year's came. He goes, can you just move back here? And in the middle of that, I'd met my daughter and we went shopping and I saw this beautiful silver necklace bracelet with a opal, you know, probably a fake opal, but it was stunning. And I took a picture of it and it was $700. I thought, nope, I'm going to pay my loan off first. And anyway, I took a picture so I didn't have to buy it. I could just kind of eat it, so to speak. So I showed it to Sean, who worked with him. I said, look what I saw. Yeah, I was going to get it. And then Paul looked at it and he went, and I read people and I said, I put no in my consciousness. No, you can't buy that for me. So the next weekend he says, Lynn, you want to go for a drive? I said, sure. So we're going for a drive. I said, are we going to New Hope? And he took a different road. So he surprised me and we got there. We get out of the car. He goes, do you know why we're here? I said, no. He said, no, you can't buy that for me. I said, no. He goes, Cheryl said yes. That was his wife. So we went to the store. It wasn't in the window. I was so relieved. He walks up to the owner and he goes, you wouldn't happen to have a silver bracelet with an opal in it, would you? He goes, yeah. He takes it out of the thing, goes, the opal always waits for its owner. I put it up waiting for you to come back. So that was, do you think that maybe might possibly be an engagement present? So that's how angels work. And it was incredible. And now he's healthy. He still misses Cheryl. I still miss Cheryl. She's a dear heart. And she still sometimes comes present, you know, and her voice and her singing in tongues and her piano playing was, it melted people. And so I'm honored to have probably the only person that is probably of a spiritual consciousness that I'm at that gets me. And together we do incredible work. Like the angels brought us together. They put me in a little squish funnel and got me here. And I did pay the money off by March, which was my date. So I think that when we are open to angels, not as a specific thing they should look like, act like, be like, but we all have angelic qualities when we're in our loving. And the loving, when you can love somebody who's in a bad place, like extra brownie points. My husband used to say, it's, hon, I had an EGN day. What's that, honey? Extra grace needed for all my patients. So, you know, he was a chaplain in oncology ward. So if they couldn't get a port in or something, he would just hold the patient's hands and pray, and the veins would open and they'd be fine. And that's what we can do. Everyone on this call, whether we see, don't see, know, don't know, we are programmed to, as children, to have all this. And then as society goes on, we basically lose that knowingness. Like, I can't see. Yeah, neither can I. I used to beat myself up because I couldn't see things. But I got to the point where I could say, oh, and look in the corner of the room and you'll see da da da. And the person go, oh yeah, I didn't notice myself. I'm curled up in a fetal little ball. I didn't know that. I didn't see that. But I trusted the wisdom that there's other ways to see other than with our eyes. So I hope this has been helpful for everybody.
Oh, Dr. Lin, this has been extraordinarily helpful. Thank you so much for being our guest today and bringing these serendipities and moments of grace and blessings of support to each one of us. This has been truly a benediction of love and delight for us all. And so I thank you so much for being our guest.
You're welcome. And God bless you all, each and every one.
Thank you.
It's such an honor to be here with you all today, and take what fits and leave the rest. That's my recipe for a happy life.
Thank you.
You're welcome. God bless you all.
Thank you, Dr. Lin.
Bye.
Bye.